Hello and welcome to Post, the channel where we discuss all things hockey and all teams. The Nashville Predators. This is one of the final teams we have to do for the report card series. If you haven't seen the previous ones for each team, we kind of go through their season and compare it to the season previous. So 2016-17 versus 2017-18. Look at the stats, see where they improved, and then talk about a few storylines from the year. So if it's okay with you, I'd like to go through the stats first.
It's okay with me.
All right, you approve?
I'll allow it.
So in 16-17, they had 94 points. In 17-18, they had 117 points.
And it's interesting, we don't want to rush to the end of the story, but
yeah.
When they had 94, they actually squeaked into the playoffs. They had just enough to get in.
An 8 seed.
They went deep.
They
went as deep as you can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they improved upon that tremendous performance in the latter stages of that previous season with a rocking run in the regular season.
They did the opposite thing that Ottawa did. They made the playoffs, they went deep, and they played the next season exactly like they did in the previous playoffs. Ottawa went deep in the playoffs and did the complete opposite the next season. So it's interesting to see the two contrasts between the teams.
Yeah.
Not that I'm trying to harp on Ottawa anymore. No. There's already enough people doing that. But, goals for 238 in 16-17, 261 last year. Goals against 220, 204, improvement. Power play 18.9 to 21.2, improvement. Penalty kill 80.9 to 81.9, improvement. Face-offs 51.4, which is pretty damn good, to 53.3.
Oh, that's substantial.
Very good.
That's substantial.
So that's an increase or an improvement in every single one of those major categories. So I mean, when you go from 94 points to 117 points, logic suggests that you'll probably get better in other categories too. So not a surprise there to see all of those improvements. Yeah. So some of the storylines from the season I'll go over a little bit. These are personal and subjective. I just kind of made these up as I'm looking at other statistics from the team, and just going back over a couple of games and highlights and all that stuff. So only 5 of the 27 players, and 27 players, that was the total amount of players that played on the roster that year. We had teams report cards that were up 35. In the 40s.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this was a very healthy team.
Yeah.
27 players total. 5 of the 27 players were minus players. Only 5. And Salomaki was the worst with -8.
Oh, most teams would take that.
Yeah.
If your worst plus minus guy is not even in double digits.
And the second worst was -4.
Yeah.
So, 8 players, all with over 40 points. That is a dream come true, to have that depth, to have your team have 8 players get over 40 points. That's amazing. Forsberg, who had the most points out of everyone, 64, which isn't a lot of points. It just shows the depth. Only played 67 games. Can you imagine if he played those other 16 or whatever games, or 15 games? Like, man, he could be up in close to in the 80s as far as points. So
really.
Big. Not that they needed it. They got 117 points, but anyway. The re-addition of Mike Fisher, I think, played a positive and negative impact on the team.
All right.
Positively, it gave them a little bit more depth up the middle, which they already had, and he got his experience, his leadership. Negatively, I think a lot of the players were... I'm trying to picture how I would feel as a player on the team about to make the playoffs, or you know you're going to make the playoffs, a couple months left, and then someone who just retired the previous year, who has done no work to get you where you are for this year, decides, I see that team's doing good. Yeah. I want to go back and play, see if I can win a Stanley Cup.
That bus looks like it's going to Disneyland.
Someone on the team lost their roster spot because of that. So, and I think I assume a lot of them, not a lot, wrong word. I assume some of the players were frustrated by him coming back because they didn't feel it was fair, because he didn't really put any work in that season. Now, I like Mike Fisher. I'm glad he came back and attempted it, so good on him. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him, but I just wanted to note that. So
it's funny how some teams won't touch a thing Some teams will tinker quite a bit just as they're getting to the trade deadline. Some teams willing to gamble on upsetting even a little bit the chemistry in the dressing room, the chemistry on the team, with addition or subtraction, and other teams are not. And it's a bit of a risk every time you do it. Sometimes it pays off, so it's fine.
Exactly, that's why teams do it, because sometimes it does pay off.
Yeah.
Statistically, this season was PK Subban's second best season of his career. To me, he looked like he was trying to score a little bit more, and I think that showed in his numbers. He had 16 goals this year, which is more than any other season he's had as far as goals go, so good on him. And that player who didn't really look that great was Arvidsson. Now, I was talking about Arvidsson with a few Nashville fans the other day, and they were complaining about the season that he had. He only had 32 points in 78 games, and they were really disappointed, and I have to be honest, I tend to agree. I think he underperformed last year, and I think he has a lot more in the tank and a lot more skill to give and more to contribute to the team. So I suspect that Arvidsson will have a pretty good bounce back year coming up and put a lot more points on the table. Hopefully. Anyways, I like him. The Predators, in my opinion, are the deepest team up the middle. You have a team that's been over 50% in the face-off dot 2 years in a row, and they had the second best face-off percentage this year at 53.3. Do you know who's number one?
I have no idea.
Carolina, over 54%.
What?
Yeah, over 54%. Anyways, Nashville's so deep up the middle.
That's crazy.
Very impressive.
That's crazy.
As far as their GM goes, David Poyle, he's made some unbelievably smart moves over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
That's why his name is talked about so much, specifically in the last 2 years. But I mean, he's made some huge additions to the team, and they still have cap space. I'll get to that in a little bit. So I looked at the team, and I remember back to the games that I watched, the series that I watched in the playoffs, and I wanted to talk about 3 players that I felt like were kind of unsung heroes, players that get overshadowed a little bit. And I think Kevin Fiala, Matthias Ekholm, and Ryan Ellis are the 3 players to me who are kind of unsung heroes. They do a lot of amazing things on the ice, and a lot of the time, no one talks about it, because you have other players on the team like Forsberg and PK Subban and Roman Josi and Pekka Rinne, all these players who are superstars. But the work that Ellis and Ekholm and Fiala do is great work. They do a lot of amazing things on the ice. I'm going to be watching those 3 guys specifically this year. I'm very excited to see what they do. Currently, there is one person older than me on the Nashville Predators. Do you know who that is? Oh, sorry. Let me reword that. Let me reword that. There's currently one player on the Nashville Predators who also played for the Nashville Predators last year, currently on the team. Do you know who that player is?
Rinne?
Pekka Rinne. Yes, I mean, I don't consider myself to be an old person. I think I look pretty young for my age. But it's very strange for me that in this National Hockey League team, there is only one player older than me. Pekka Rinne is 35. And I believe this year they have 5 people over the age of 30. 2 older than me. Dan Hamhuis, who wasn't on the team last year, and Pekka Rinne. All others are around 30, the other 3. Speaking of Pekka Rinne, inconsistent in the playoffs. That's a bold statement. I think it's the more popular opinion statement, but I know there's people out there who completely disagree with that statement, and that's fine. You're allowed to have your own opinion, although I'll say I 100% disagree. The proof is in the pudding. He was pulled, I think, 3 times during that Colorado series. He's inconsistent. He did not play well at all. He had a great regular season. He's getting old, still playing absolutely incredible hockey for his age. Do I think his play in the playoffs is a bit of a fluke, his inconsistent play? A little bit. I think he was maybe a mental game going on with him. But the fact of the matter is he didn't really play that well in the playoffs, and it led to the demise of the Nashville Predators. In my opinion, there's no question about it. Now on to the cap that I mentioned. You know how much cap space that the Nashville... Looking at the depth of the Nashville Predators, they are a cup contender. Not only are they a cup contender, I would say they're in the top 3 cup contenders as far as teams go.
I would agree.
You think that they'd be playing pretty close to the cap.
They'd be at the cap.
They have $8.7 million.
How does that happen?
I know. And that goes back to David Poyle, his genius. So things change a little bit next year when they have to make some decisions. But they have some room to play this year. And they have some room to add a lot. I mean, for 8.7, you can add a lot of impressive talent to the team.
You can.
So, and there are some attractive UFAs, or UFAs next year that could be dealt during the trade deadline as a rental. So this is going to be really interesting to watch Nashville as far as roster-wise and management-wise. Keep your eye on David Poyle to really be working the phones hard probably this year to really improve his team. This is the year that they can really make something happen with the team that they have now, plus the cap space to bring someone in. I'm scared. I like Nashville. Yeah. I'd rather see other teams win, but I'm scared because they're going to be really good.
They are going to be really good. 2 years ago, they had low expectations and very high performance. Last year, they had high expectations and didn't come up in the performance side at all. If they can put together that magic combination of expectations and then deliver on those expectations, and I think they're still in the zone to do that, obviously, they're going to be a world beater kind of team.
If Nashville ends up playing Tampa Bay in the finals, I have no idea who's going to win.
I know who I'm cheering for.
You're cheering for Nashville.
Absolutely.
I would be too, but that'd be a very tough series to predict. Extremely tough.
Yeah.
As it sits right now, obviously things will change.
Depth against depth there.
So, that's all I have for Nashville. I like watching them play. I like a lot of players in the team. I like their coach. I like most of the management staff. I think they're a good team, and I think they're going places, and they've already been places, and not a lot of bad things to say about Nashville.
No.
So. Thanks, guys, for watching. I really appreciate it. There's a couple more report card videos to do, and I'll release those very soon. So thank you for watching this one. If you're not subscribed already, I hope you can hit the subscribe button and join us here. And we'll see you in the next one. Adios.